All right, Graham Rossini is with us for a few minutes, and Graham has been on the gig now,
The gig.
14 months.
Sounds about right.
Is that about right?
Feels like 14 years.
You look as good as ever, though. I was telling Kenny this. What do you know now, or asking Kenny this, what do you know now that you didn't know when you took the gig that you know now?
I just think the benefit of perspective helps a lot. Managing time, managing energy, preparing for the schedule. I mean, there's a lot of events. So we're running a business. We've got a department to run. We've got strategy. We've got things that we prioritize. Then we've got 300 live events that we try to be present at, myself, our team, etc. And so now we've seen one time through the cycle, and it lets us just plan and prepare probably more efficiently this year than we did last year.
Do you have enough help?
We need more. Like we're definitely.
I wrote this a couple weeks ago. Like, I love the job you're doing.
Yeah.
Okay. But you cannot be everywhere,
Right.
and it's nothing against your staff.
Yeah.
I'm not taking shots. It's just like he's spread pretty thin for 26 sports, and just the commissioner's conversations up there. It's like
Right.
those are big meetings. So it's a fair question, I think.
Yeah, it's a fair question, and again, we've had the benefit of perspective. Now I think we know a lot more about what we need than we did a year ago, and kind of by design last year was we're going to get really tight as administration. We went from 20 sport administrators down to 6. We're going to consolidate that even more because I believe there's benefit in going deep on sports with a few people that really understand. It's less about the sport-specific insight, it's more about what do multiple sports need that we can go find on their behalf.
Sure,
and
sure.
We're trying to build departmental solutions as much as we're trying to build sport-specific wins. And so, yeah, I think we've been able to evaluate our team, we've been able to understand the landscape and build a team moving forward where it's pretty obvious, like we need to focus on revenue generation, we need to focus on experiential improvements in our space, better events, more consistent events, a higher level of polish and detail to the things that we do. We're going to build a team that reflects the needs of the moment.
Yeah.
And we know a lot more about what that means a year on the job, post-house settlement, post-first year in the Big 12, and so now we're a lot more informed on the quality of talent and the type of roles that we need to build around.
This is not a negative, but I have to believe you're drinking out of a fire hose at certain points this last year because you were being thrown, everybody, not just you, everybody in your position within the conference and in college sports is being thrown this left-handed fastball, Randy Johnson one pitch, Kurt Schilling the next pitch, Byung-Hyun Kim another pitch.
Yep.
You know, I mean, it's just, wow. And how did you manage to get through all that?
I think that was actually one of our benefits is that we weren't burdened by the way things have always been done. We weren't subject to how athletic departments have always operated. We got to really design what we need moving forward. And so I actually don't look at that as a negative. I look at that as part of the blessing of, it was new to everybody. So certainly I'm new to the job, new to the role, first time leadership position like this. But the landscape around us is so unfamiliar to people that have been in this industry for 10, 20, 30 years that it didn't hold us back. The lack of experience as an AD was not a limiting factor on anything that we did last year. So I think it just allowed us to stay very agile, very ASU first and foremost focused. Yes, we want to be a great member of the Big 12. We're proud to be in this conference. We're looking out for the best decisions for ASU first and foremost, knowing that that is also going to benefit the Big 12 conference.
When the commissioner spoke today and he spoke about the benefits of the Big 12, comparatively speaking, and where they are in the playoff, everybody in the conference lock stock on that?
Yeah, I think we're all aligned that we want this to be kind of a meritocracy. Earn your way in. Win the conference and you have a pathway. Be one of the best next 11 teams and have a chance to go compete moving forward. I think if you start handing out too many automatic qualifiers based on conference affiliation alone, it turns into much more of an invitational and less of a championship format. And I'm a big believer in the expanded CFP. We benefited from that directly last year. I like the idea of going from 12 to 16 because I saw what it did for our community, for our fan base, for our university, and I think there's merit to that. And even, I know we want to create that separation from college sports to pro sports, but look at the NBA, the NFL, Major League Baseball, 45 to 50% of those teams are getting a chance to play in the postseason. We're talking about 12 or maybe 16 college football teams against 64 Power 4 teams, 100, almost 200 Division I teams at all levels. It's a good thing to talk about more schools, more athletes, more fan bases, more communities getting a chance to touch a championship. But you got to play your way in. This can't be a birthright. This can't be a given based on conference affiliation alone. And so, yeah, we're very unified that 5 automatic qualifiers, 11 at large is the way to go.
In this new world, can you continue to have a preseason schedule that includes NAU? Is that going to be a Board of Regents question? I like it, but I also am a realist. You're going to look at this new world that we're in and say, those games in late August and September have to be a little bit tougher. Is there merit to what I'm saying, or is there not?
There's merit to it. There's a lot of unknown on the scheduling front. And I say that from a couple of reasons where a year ago, the pathway to 10 wins was the most important, however you got there.
Yep.
Now in expanded CFP, there's a lot more stock in quality of opponent, quality of road win, damaging value to a home loss against a lesser opponent, whatever that would mean. And then also, the Big Ten and the Big 12 play 9 conference games. The ACC and the SEC play 8 conference games. At some point, that does need to level out. I do believe that we should all be on a level playing field, probably at 9 games. That's going to affect a lot of our future non-conference scheduling commitments that we've got. So we're very forward-thinking in terms of our non-conference schedule, understanding that the way that we've always done it is probably not the way it's going to be moving forward. Whether we continue some of the teams that we've historically played, to be determined. I think we've got games scheduled through 2030, 2031. In some respects, we've got 9 games against SEC schools, including last year's game against Mississippi State. So, I think the first shoe to drop will be what the college football playoff format looks like moving forward. That's really going to be informative to how we schedule moving forward.
Commissioner spoke today about opening in Dublin, Ireland, said he'd like everybody to do that. Where's ASU?
Yeah, we're very focused on international competition. There was a hint about baseball in Mexico City. We may be in that conversation.
Yeah.
We're talking about college football overseas in Europe right now as well. I think that could be a reality for us in the near future as well. Basketball in the Middle East is a big topic of conversation right now. We're probably less in that conversation today, but we've expressed interest moving forward. It's good for us. It's good for us. We're a very international brand as a university.
Sure.
We've got 100 athletes from all over the world across our 26 sports. So we like the idea of playing in untraditional markets. It's a big part of what I did with the Diamondbacks. We played in Sydney, Australia. We played in Mexico.
Yes, you did.
We built a facility in the Dominican Republic. So I'm a big believer on international competition to spread the brand in powerful ways. So we're very much in those conversations with the commissioner.
Your voice carries a lot of weight then in the room, I would think. I don't know if you want to pat yourself on the back, but you've been there at the highest level.
Yeah.
Guys, this is what it's like. So you bring that to the table in the conference.
Yeah, I think it's helpful perspective that a lot of people have the fear of the unknown. We try to embrace that. And we saw firsthand what that did for the D-backs brand getting into the Southern Hemisphere, the first games played in the regular season in the Southern Hemisphere ever. What that did for opening up, there's a lot of baseball, softball talent in New Zealand. We saw the derivative of that. Long documented history for the sport, having a presence in Latin America. We were able to really accelerate that with our new academy in the Dominican Republic. And so, I think that perspective, bringing that into ASU, bringing that into the Big 12, and knowing firsthand that, for us playing games in Mexico makes a lot of sense in all of our sports. It's an easy drive for fans in Sonora. They like great experiences. They know it's an easy commute. They've got the same passion and fandom for American sports that they would for Mexican sports. And so we're very, very focused on every opportunity we can to be much more internationally relevant. Certainly in college football, as that's continuing to be something that you see with games in Ireland and games elsewhere in Europe, but all of our sports for that matter. It's the beauty of having 26 sports with a reach all over the planet.
It would solve the how do we go to a game in late August, early September when it's 110 degrees? We can try everything we want to get fans to come, but if you say we're going to go to fill in the blank, that takes care of one. You got about 2 more weeks to figure it out. You can't play more than one worldwide,
right?
Or could you?
Yeah, I think you're going to be on an occasional schedule out the gate. It's probably a once every 4-year type dynamic out the gate. Week 0 enters the conversation when you start talking about international games, so it gives you a little bit more flexibility. I do want to be protective of home games. I think we alternate between 6 and 7 home games, so that's part of the calculation. But when we do it, it would be more of a special occasion than the norm, I would believe.
What's the future of bowls from your view?
Yeah, that's going to be really interesting to understand over this next cycle. I think what happens with the expanded CFP is going to really inform the future of the bowl games as we know it. And so I think that story is probably yet to be written.
Anything else that strikes you about today? I could say, hey, how's the team going to be this year? I could say, hey, Graham, are you going to get in the middle of it with a referee? Like, who was it, guys? They were talking about Kenny on the game. They want more animated Kenny. I think they've got to have more animated Graham within the game.
So funny story about BYU, kind of on that point. So 2 things that I remember from that game.
Yeah.
One is the day after I saw Kenny's dad, John, and he's like, you guys are the perfect balance for each other. He's the high rolling up and down. You're kind of even keel, and so I heard a lot about the conversation that Kenny and I had on the field during the end of that BYU game. Come to find out, like he's feeling time. He's like, look, we got guys in the locker room trying to find their helmet. Fans have got receiver gloves. Like, we're just trying to get the team assembled. Like, stay with me right here. We're trying to buy ourselves some time. So I'm just trying to calm him down and say, hey, we got 1 second left. We're going to win this game. We'll deal with the call after the game. Let's go close this thing out. He's like, just stay with me. We're trying to fill some time. I need X to go find his helmet so he can get back on the field so we can close this thing out. So a funny memory. We call that one the 2-for-1 special. You know,
That's
we had
good.
2 field rushes for the price of 1 against BYU, and what an exciting finish for that game and what it unlocked for the rest of that season.
One other thing, Sam Levitt on a business side. There's a press conference later today with PayPal.
Yep.
There is, I had him on earlier talking about endorsements. The whole business side of sports fascinates me when I see deals being put together.
Yep.
How involved are you in that?
Yeah, very involved. As a department, I'm also very personally involved because we believe that Sam should be deep into this Heisman conversation as the season starts. He's obviously got to earn it on the field, but
Yeah.
we want to rally around the momentum that he has as a Heisman candidate and continue to help broker opportunities and deals and opportunities to give him national exposure. And so, you know, this PayPal deal that the Big 12 put together, we've been instrumentally involved in for the last almost a year. They came to us about a month ago and said, hey, can we get connected to Sam's team? We want to talk to him about some NIL. And that's the beauty of this new environment where NIL is less of the boogeyman. It's something that we can more directly embrace, and that happens at a local level with a lot of the local businesses around the valley that see the benefit of promotion with a student athlete from ASU. We're seeing that in football, we're seeing that in triathlon, we're seeing that in everything in between. And now that we can extend that into national partnerships that live at a conference level or, you know, a national brand deal like PayPal, it's just a sign of the times. But we're very hands-on with Sam and his team. They've got a well-oiled machine around him and his agency and the deals that we're trying to find for a marquee personality, the quarterback of a college football playoff team. And so it's a privilege to be able to join his team in that effort.
I am a Heisman voter, so I sat with him
There you
today
go.
about this and been it a long time. Last year I didn't say who I was going to vote for because we're not supposed to.
Right.
There was a running back that I looked at and I said, I think he's going to get better. And I also have Christian McCaffrey as a point of reference,
Yep.
a guy that got screwed on the West Coast.
Yep.
Pardon the language. And we saw what happened,
Right.
So in his space, it is when you play, obviously he's got to do it on the field, but when you play Iowa State in early November and when you play Colorado,
Yep.
those 2 games are going to be nationally televised. Your
Right.
television deal is much better. So
Sure.
that's part of the deal. Like, those are the games where he can do his thing.
Yep.
And then there's guys like me that hold on to my vote, and there's others that just get it out of the way.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering, do you guys stay on top of voters? Is that something where billboards of Sam are going to show up around town?
I think
Wall murals?
people in Phoenix are kind of aware of what's
Yeah,
happening. We're going to
yeah,
continue to remind that. Our efforts are focused more on the East Coast and making sure that there's not the East Coast bias working against us. And we're talking with Sam's team and another consultant that we brought on that's got experience in the same effort to really understand, like, hey, what's the right use of time and energy to create that
Yes.
awareness? And he's got to go do it on the field. There's no doubt about that. This is not going to be something that we can campaign around. He's got to go perform to win it. But as he has success, we want to continue to communicate the star player that he is, the leader that he is, the competitor that he is, the amazing representation of ASU and Sun Devil football that he is. And so I think you'll see a lot of our time and energy spent more up and down the East Coast and making sure that we're creating awareness for the people who aren't fortunate like you are to see it kind of up close and personal every single day. We know that that's a dynamic, and we know that there's a concentration of Heisman voters that are very East Coast focused, and we've got to account for that. We're also lucky that in our conference, you know, with Colorado and Travis Hunter last year, they went through the experience. Adidas, who's been an incredible partner for us, has been a part of this a couple years ago with Washington and 2 of their athletes that were Heisman candidates. And so we've been benefiting from the perspective and the collaboration with others who have gone before us in that. I'd love to pick your brain about what you see to the extent that you can share on that as well. And all that feedback is helpful because we want to position our athletes in the best light to go get the recognition that they, you know, so deservedly have earned.
We have a problem, and that is I caused a bit of a rift between Jordan Tyson and Sam Levitt today.
Okay. Let's break this down.
Yeah, Sam Levitt says he is a better dunker than Jordan Tyson. Yeah, I know. So Jordan accused him of being a liar. That's a pretty strong accusation.
Okay.
Jordan Tyson said the only person who could beat me in anything is Kenny Dillingham at ping pong. So there's a rift. I didn't mean to cause the rift,
Okay, it's
but
good to know.
clearly Sam and Jordan need to be sat down and just work
should
through
hammer-
this. You don't want them trying to do dunks
No.
at this point of the season.
I'd rather, like, let's park that one until January. Let's see where we're at that point
Late
of the year.
January.
Late January
Late
would be
January,
ideal.
February.
So two things come to mind. Jordan's brothers in the NBA. So
Yeah.
at some point, like, I'm gonna give the basketball pedigree to Jordan Tyson. Sam's confidence is off the charts. He's an elite athlete. Sam was willing, I don't know if this has ever been reported or not, but Sam was willing to suit up for the basketball team at the end of the year when they were banged up with injuries. He rose his hand. Kenny was all for it. The timing just didn't quite play out, but Sam's like, look, like, I can hoop. I can play ball. I want to help Bobby out. They've got some injuries right now. He was willing to raise his hand. It speaks to his character. It speaks to the selflessness of a guy like Sam Levitt, whose confidence is off the charts. That's good to know. We'll kind of manage that one.
Yeah, that's a problem.
Maybe inside the department.
Big meeting.
Big meeting. I
Do you punish these guys, Graham? Do you like
I-
wag
I-
your finger at them?
I like the fact that these guys want to compete.
Yeah.
I would agree. I think Kenny sets a high bar in the football building. He's got the basketball hoop in the team room. They play ping pong. They play foosball. They play video games. They've got it all going on in there, and it's a healthy spirit of competition. But I'll need to dig into that. Thanks for the heads up.
See, all we're doing here is adding to his list. I appreciate your time.
These are fun things to navigate.
These are
And
problems to have.
when they're competing or when they're arguing about who's the better athlete. I think it's a good dynamic to have on your plate. So we'll sign up for that.
Graham Rossini, we appreciate your time. Thanks.
Thanks, Brad.